The Spotify model might be the most copied organizational design of the last decade. Squads, tribes, chapters, guilds. If you've worked in tech, you've probably encountered these terms. Maybe your organization even tried to implement them. But here's something most people don't know. Spotify itself has moved on from the model that bears its name, and the original architects have publicly discussed its limitations. So what happened? Did the Spotify model work? What can we actually learn from it? Let me take you through the real story. In 2012, Henrik Nyberg and Anders Ivarsson published a paper called Scaling Agile at Spotify. It described how Spotify organized around autonomous squads, small cross-functional teams with end-to-end ownership of a feature or product area. The model was elegant. Squads were the basic unit of work, 6 to 12 people with all the skills needed to deliver value. Product owner, developers, designers, testers. No project manager. The squad decided what to build, how to build it, and when to ship. Tribes were collections of squads working in related areas. Up to 150 people, based on Dunbar's number, the theoretical limit of relationships humans can maintain. Tribes had tribal leads, but minimal hierarchy. Chapters were horizontal structures connecting specialists across squads. All the iOS developers across different squads formed a chapter. This allowed for skill development and knowledge sharing, without breaking squad autonomy. Guilds were communities of interest that crossed tribe boundaries. Anyone interested in a topic, say testing or web development, could join a guild. Completely voluntary, pure knowledge sharing. The model was designed to solve a real problem. How do you scale Agile beyond a single team? Scrum works beautifully for a team of 7 to 9 people. But what happens when you need 100 people working on the same product? Or 1,000? Traditional organizations add layers. Managers of managers. Coordination meetings. Cross-team dependencies. The coordination overhead grows faster than the organization. Spotify tried a different approach. Instead of adding coordination layers, they invested in making teams more autonomous. If squads can operate independently, you don't need as much coordination between them. The model had real strengths. Autonomous squads moved fast. Without waiting for approval chains or coordinating with distant managers, they could make decisions and ship quickly. Cross-functional composition eliminated handoffs. A feature didn't move from design to development to testing to operations. The squad owned the whole thing. Alignment through context meant squads didn't need managers telling them what to do. They understood the mission and could figure out how to contribute. Many organizations copied this model and saw real improvements. Speed increased. Engagement improved. Bureaucracy decreased. But the model also had weaknesses that became apparent over time. Coordination between squads was harder than expected. When multiple squads needed to work on something together, there was no clear mechanism for coordination. The model optimized for squad independence at the expense of cross-squad collaboration. Tribes became silos. The boundaries that enabled tribe autonomy also created walls between tribes. Information didn't flow. Duplication emerged. Chapters and guilds were under-resourced. In theory, they provided horizontal coordination. In practice, they were often afterthoughts. Squad priorities always won. The model didn't address the hardest coordination problems. When strategic direction changed, how did squads realign? When dependencies emerged between tribes, who resolved them? When investments needed to be made across the organization, who decided? In 2020, Marcus Hammarberg and Joachim Sunden published an article called Spotify's Failed Squad Goals in MIT's Loan Management Review. They argued that the Spotify model had become more famous than successful. Organizations copied the structure, squads, tribes, chapters, guilds, without understanding the culture that made it work. The structure was visible and copyable. The culture was invisible and organic. You could implement squads tomorrow. You couldn't implement the trust, the transparency, the engineering excellence that made squads effective. Even Spotify itself evolved away from the model. By 2020, they were experimenting with different structures. The squad model was a phase, not a destination. So, what do we actually learn from Spotify? First, autonomy requires alignment. Autonomous teams only work when they are aligned on direction. Without clear strategic context, autonomy becomes chaos. Spotify invested heavily in mission, vision, and strategic communication. Organizations that copied the structure without the context failed. Second, structure follows culture. You can't install a structure and expect the culture to follow. The Spotify model worked because of Spotify's culture, not the other way around. Organizations that tried to copy structure to create culture got structure without culture. Third, cross-cutting coordination matters. The model focused on making teams independent, but some work inherently crosses team boundaries. Platform work, infrastructure, strategic initiatives. The model didn't have a good answer for these. Fourth, models evolve. The Spotify model was a snapshot of how one organization worked at one moment. It wasn't meant to be a template for all organizations forever. Even Spotify kept evolving. The deeper lesson is this: copying structure without understanding principles is cargo culting. In World War II, Pacific Islanders observed military cargo drops. When the war ended and the drops stopped, some communities built replica runways and control towers, hoping the planes would return. They copied the form without understanding the function. Organizations that implement squads and tribes without understanding autonomy, alignment, and culture are doing the same thing. What Spotify got right and what Netflix got right was recognizing that coordination overhead is a design choice. You can design organizations that require constant human coordination, or you can design organizations where coordination emerges from structure and context. The specific designs differ. Netflix emphasizes context and transparency. Spotify emphasized team autonomy. Both were trying to solve the same problem. How do you coordinate at scale without coordinators? Neither model is the final answer. Both are experiments in a direction, and that direction is clear: away from human coordination overhead and towards system-enabled coordination. In the next episode, we'll look at an even more radical example. Haier, the Chinese appliance giant, eliminated all middle management and reorganized into 4,000 autonomous microenterprises. If Netflix eliminated project managers and Spotify reorganized around squads, Haier blew up the entire hierarchy. Let's see what we can learn.